Hey guys, it's me, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? It is a great day, and I'm so very excited to be here. You know, I say that all the time. I have an author on the show today, and I know you're watching today. She's coming live on audio. Okay, so her name is Ruth Leedy Carr, and she has a book called Tipping Point for a Hollow Earth. It's a little bit longer than that, but that's what we're going to call it today. And we're going to be talking about her book. I'm so interested in finding out if Earth is hollow, because yeah, I don't know. So I want to go ahead and have her on. Thank you so much, Ruth, for being here.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, thank you. So it's 4 o'clock. So I wanted to find out from you if, when you thought about writing a book, everybody thinks about doing something in their life, but when you thought about writing a book, what was it that kind of said, okay, just, I got to do this. I have to do this now.
Well, I my first book was in 1980, so
Mm.
so that's when I really had to make a decision to write a book.
Oh.
Um, I've been writing about the same topic the whole time. It's about the shifting of the axis of the Earth,
Uh-huh.
and I believe there's a hole at the North and South Pole, and that when the axis shifts, this the hole is going to shift as well by
Mm.
centrifugal force, and that's gonna upset a lot of people. And I think this has been covered up.
Oh, goodness. Oh,
And well,
wow. Go ahead.
well, I think it has been covered up, but um, so so the purpose of the book was to reveal the secret,
Mm.
and I I can't say that I've been successful.
Yeah.
Every time I write a book, I think maybe this time I'll succeed in making it public, so everybody will say, "Ah, yes, yes, there are holes at the poles, and yes, the axis is going to shift. We better get ready because there might be food shortages. There might be a lot of problems. People have to move around to get away from the coast, which would be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of there would be a lot of things that have to be done to get ready, and you would have to get those things done before the emergency started because there'd be so much confusion. There wouldn't be a chance to organize a good plan or good response if you wait until the cataclysm begins. So you want to plan ahead. So that's the purpose of the books, is to get people to plan ahead. And uh, so so at the time that I was writing Tipping Point, I was waiting for this other book, which is called Polar Hole Light in Europe's Clouds. I was waiting for that to be published. Um, and it seemed like it was taking an awful long time, and I just, I was getting restless, and so I just decided to write another book
Yeah.
while I was waiting.
Well, thank you for that. That's interesting. It's not something that normally happens, but okay, I got you. So you got, I mean, wow. How long does it take you to write a book?
Probably, well, it took me maybe 4 or 5 months, but I was really basically using a lot of the same material that I've put in all of my books.
Mm.
so,
Okay.
so uh, but I try to analyze what I consider to be um, anagram messages from the experts,
Mm-hmm.
Isaac Asimov, Isaac Asimov and Carl Sagan, and I work on those a lot. So I try to improve the anagrams because if I look back on my previous books, I'll look at the anagrams. I'll say, okay, you did that one wrong, and you did that other one wrong. You know, because anagrams can be done so many different ways.
Okay.
Um,
Uh-huh.
and so I like to try to get them. I try to figure out exactly how they were supposed to be solved, and It's hard to prove. It's very hard to prove that I have them right. But
I mean,
you
come
know,
on. I mean, have you traveled to the center of the earth?
oh no.
I don't think anybody has. I don't think I want to. But the theory and everything, it should be that if okay, so you've done more study than I have ever done. I've done a little tiny bit, and it scares me. That's why I stopped. but but it didn't scare you. Can you talk us through the key evidence that convinced you that this phenomena is connected though? I mean, you like the Earth and Mars and the stopping and the slowing and all that stuff because they've been talking about it on the TV a lot.
Oh well, the I think the best evidence for a hollow Earth is really to look at the pictures of Mars. Now, there's one picture of Earth that people have been focusing on. It was a North Polar view where they took three different pictures of the North Pole and fitted them all together to make it give the illusion of daylight all the way around the, the pole, all the way around the Earth at the same time. So they fitted three different pictures together, and it looks like there's a round hole in the middle. But and a lot of people, in fact, there was an expedition. Uh, did did you hear about this? in
Good.
There was a story in 1992
Hmm.
in the Sun about an exploration. Uh, Someone named Edmund Bork and his team of five supposedly did a trip through the North Polar opening and found a tropical paradise in the interior.
Yeah, I've
And
heard
so
that.
and and so and so the picture inspired this trip. But the trouble is, when people come back and tell these stories, um, a lot of people just sort of shrug and say maybe they made it up.
Mm,
Because it's really difficult to prove that you've been to the center of the earth. How can you prove that?
yeah. 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 Not unless you take a whole crew with you, a TV crew.
Well, a TV crew. Uh, it I don't know how you would prove it. I mean, if I went to the center of the earth, I can't imagine anyone believing that,
I
that I
can't either.
really made it.
Yeah, I can't either.
they
That's just like trying
they
to
would
prove
say,
that
"Oh, well,
somebody went to the moon, right? I mean, we have the footage,
even
but
that,
even that
yes,
people
that's controversial too."
it is. It's
Uh,
like people
pe-
don't believe it.
People say, "Well, this was staged."
Mhm. Yep.
They say, and
Mhm.
uh, so even with the pictures, the films, and everything, it's really difficult to prove the reality of it.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I don't think that Edmund Bork came back with any pictures. He came back with he came back with a story. He said that there was uh, uh, some holograph holographic techniques were used to create the illusion of a solid pole, so that if you were flying over the top of it, you wouldn't see the hole. I mean, he had that to say, and he gave some examples of other people who went into the interior. Admiral Byrd and William Shavers and Leif Leif Erikson. He said those three people were took trips into the interior,
Wow.
and there are one or two stories in Marshall Gardner's book, uh, A Journey to the Earth's Interior,
Mhm.
um, about about an explorer seeing the sun, the square, dull red sun, at a time when there was supposed to be winter darkness up there, and so but even that, he puts it in his diary that he saw this his crew he and his crew saw this sun in the far north, and he said, well, it wasn't really the sun, it was just a mirage,
Oh.
a mirage of the sun. So so but anyway, it occurred during the period of winter darkness.
Mm.
So uh but once again, can you really prove that happened? I
No.
mean, no. So 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 but I like to focus on the pictures of Mars from August 4th, 1969,
Okay.
the Mariner 7 photographs, because they do show, uh well, they call it a polar cap, but it's an extremely bright polar cap,
Mhm.
and it uh is not located on the day side,
Mm.
uh because it's surrounded by darkness.
Mhm.
And so, and I've collected the 4 pictures that show this polar cap that's located uh, far away from the rest of the day side. The day
Wow.
side, see, the day side is, it's pretty bright in the northern hemisphere in these pictures,
Mhm.
and there's a reflection of the sun that's also above the equator,
Mhm.
and so so if you can see the reflection of the sun above the equator, you really don't expect to see a full polar cap down there at the bottom in the darkness,
No, you
surrounded by
don't.
darkness. And
Mm.
and well, if you were to look, if the satellite, if Mariner 7 had taken a trip up to the northern hemisphere, which was bright, in the picture, it was bright. If the Mariner 7 probe had gone up to the northern hemisphere and looked down at the pole, you would expect that would have been bright, because the rest of the northern hemisphere was pretty bright.
Mhm.
So the pole should have been bright, but you didn't get to see that because of the way that the satellite, the I guess it was the satellite, the probe, the Mariner 7 probe, was going across the southern hemisphere, so you didn't get a view of the North Polar Cap.
Wow.
But if the rest of the north, if the rest of the northern hemisphere was pretty bright, well, of course the cap would have been illuminated,
Mhm.
and then you got to wonder, well, how can you have both polar caps illuminated at the same time? Uh, on Earth, if one polar cap is fully illuminated, the other polar cap is pretty well covered with darkness.
Yeah.
And and then in the spring and the fall, each polar cap would be half illuminated. Half of the polar cap would be,
Yeah.
bright, and the other half would be in shadow. But there's never any time when you see the full polar cap in the south as well as the full polar cap in the north. You just never see that.
Mm.
It's not possible, because the planet tilts. It's always
Yeah.
tilting one way. In the summer it tilts. Well, this picture of Mars, evidently the northern hemisphere was tilted toward the sun, because the northern hemisphere was brighter. So that's where the polar cap should have been fully illuminated, or pretty well, almost all fully illuminated. And the southern polar cap, there was one little edge of the southern polar cap that could have been on the day side. I measured it from the bright spot,
Mm.
90 degrees in each direction. Um, there was one little edge of the south polar cap that could have been visible, but the
Mhm.
whole rest of the polar cap was out of bounds.
Right.
And so anyway, I believe these pictures are the best evidence that planets can be hollow. And I believe that if it is made public, if people start really talking about this Mars evidence, if it's made public that Mars is hollow, I think that might help to end the cover up about the uh, about the shape of the Earth and the coming axis shift. Oh, I hope this evidence would
Mm.
would help to end the entire cover up,
Hmm. Wow.
but I don't know.
Well, of course. I mean, eh, it's difficult. Like you said, it's very difficult to prove. But if you have some kind of backup or some kind of a scientific evidence, or even like what you said, the gentleman going to the center of the earth and finding a garden, finding like paradise there, then I mean, there it is. But most people don't believe it. It's like I said, like going to the moon. Wow.
And the picture that he was working from
Hmm.
shows the dark spot in the center. But if the Earth is really hollow, there should he should have you should have been able to see the central sun around which the shell is in orbit. So you should have been able to see that in the middle of that dark hole,
Mm,
supposedly a hole.
mhm,
If it was a hole, you should have been able to see the inner sun through the hole. And instead, the hole was all dark. And
mm.
so that's why it really doesn't prove anything,
Right.
because you didn't see the sun and you didn't see any light from the sun. So um, there were a couple of pictures of Earth that were kind of fuzzy in this book, Space Science and Astronomy, edited by Thornton and Lou Williams Page. Um, that may have shown the polar caps. I mean the bright the bright sun shining through the polar holes. Um, let's see here. Okay, it's figure 134, and I think it's okay. Figure 133 and 134.
In your
They're
book?
shown in this book called
Okay.
Space Science and Astronomy, and
Oh.
you can see the light on the day side of the planet, and then you can see the polar cap, of some kind of a polar cap, bright color cap on extending onto the night side.
Mhm.
And but it's not very good evidence. The pictures are very small. I enlarged them and I put them in my books, but
Wow. So
the
these are
pictures are
this
very
is in your
small.
book.
Yes,
Okay.
and
Okay.
but it's also, if you could find the book itself, Space Science and Astronomy, and turn to Figure 133 and 134, you would see these little tiny pictures of Earth. I had to really enlarge them, um, and if you take a good look, you can see that there's some brightness extending onto the night side. That could be evidence of the inner sun's light.
Mm.
But the trouble with that is that the caption identifies it as the aurora, the aurora
Oh,
borealis and the aurora australis,
yeah.
and so and so you can't really prove that that came from the interior of the Earth. Now with Mars, there is no aurora because Mars has no magnetic pole or south magnetic pole, and since it has no magnetic field there, that that's what you have to have the magnetic field in order to have the aurora borealis come in.
Mm.
The solar wind comes in at the magnetic poles and makes this aurora. So since there's no magnetic pole on Mars, north or south, they can't. Nobody could say that the polar cap was caused by an aurora. Uh, so as was done with Earth, when you see the light coming through you might see the light coming through the polar hole of Earth, but somebody could just say, well, that's just the aurora. So once again, it's very difficult to prove.
Mm. Wow. Wow. That's some hard studying to do. That really is.
Part, pardon?
That's some that's a hard study to do. Like to try and even come up with the reason why, or not even come up with it, but to pinpoint the reason that all of this is making sense is hard to do.
Well,
Why did you do this? Why did you choose this in the first place? I mean, you could have chosen anything. You could have chosen that there are aliens buried under under the icebergs. I mean, why did you choose this?
um, I believe that. I started with the book Edgar Casey, The Sleeping Prophet,
Mhm.
and I was investigating the uh, the prophecies of this uh, gentleman. He uh, he was a medium. A voice spoke through him, and
Mm.
the prophecies the prophecies talked about a light in the clouds in conjunction with an axis shift. In other words, the Earth's axis was going to shift on a certain date. It
Yeah.
did not shift on that date,
Mhm.
but it was predicted for the year 2000. And then the light, the Christ light, actually, they said that his light would appear in the clouds after 1998.
Mm-hmm.
So the point was that this light in the clouds was going to happen at the same time, basically, as the same time as the shifting of the axis of the Earth. And so I was trying to discover if I could prove this was true. And when I found that the hollow Earth theory, I realized that this could explain the prophecy about light in the clouds, because if the hole were to move in an axis shift, that would allow the central sun's light to shine up through the hole, up into the clouds and back down. That's why the clouds would be mentioned, because if there were no clouds, the light would just go straight up and you
Yeah.
wouldn't get a good look at it. But if it reflected in the clouds, then you could see that reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seemed to me that the hollow Earth theory offered an explanation of the prophecy of the Christ light coming in the clouds. And
Wow.
this interested me. It's just a lot of people are interested in the prophecies of Christ or the prophecies of Edgar Casey,
Mm-hmm.
because it's mysterious and and we'd like to be able to understand what they meant.
Yeah.
And it's considered to be a big news story if you know if there is a revelation as to what Christ really was trying to tell us.
Well, I hope people can figure it out. I'll tell you that much. Because then that would help me a lot.
So so anyway, it just seemed to be that I would like to be able to try to prove that this prophecy referred to the hollow earth, referred to
Mm.
the inner sun coming up through new holes and shining in the clouds. And if I could prove that, and then a lot of people, who have an interest in the second coming of Christ, would say, okay, it's time to pay attention. The prophecy has been understood, and it's time to prepare, because uh, as Jesus said, prepare the way of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
That I would interpret that to mean get people away from the area where that new hole is going to be created and where that light is going to shine in the clouds. That's the way of the Lord. Prepare the way of the Lord by evacuating the people so that they don't fall into the hole, so they don't get destroyed by this tremendous change.
Mm-mm. Well, I'll tell you what. That
And
to me,
the secrecy is coming from the interior of the earth.
uh-huh.
In other words, the people or whoever is in there, people or relatives or uh, people who look like a little bit like us and not quite exactly like us, people who are far distant relatives,
Wow.
maybe the Sasquatch. It could be the Sasquatch, but I can't. It's hard to prove. But the secrecy is coming from there.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones. They're the ones that are keeping us from finding out that
Wow.
what we need to know.
Wow.
And I don't know uh, why they let me talk. If they're trying to keep it a secret, they should have suppressed my work as well. But I guess they figure I can't accomplish anything
Well, no,
because
of course you can.
I'm
Of
not an expert.
Well, of course you can. You can and you will and you have and you're doing it now. And that's why you have your book so that you can warn people and that you can tell people, about this tipping point for a hollow earth is online. It's on Amazon, right? Where else is it?
Um, I guess Barnes and Noble.
Okay. So they can get it
Um,
anywhere where books are sold basically.
yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Is there anything that we missed today that you'd like to say?
Well, I would like to say that there this this whole event, the axis shift, is coming as a result of a change in the Earth's magnetic field. It's called a geomagnetic field reversal. when the North Magnetic Pole moves to a new place, and the South Magnetic Pole also. They change hemispheres.
Mm.
And so the thing that will cause the cataclysm is the fact that the two magnetic poles switch to new locations in opposite hemispheres, and that causes the solar wind to strike those new poles, and
Mm.
that's what shifts the axis, because the solar wind is a powerful outside force.
Wow.
So that's what you need, a powerful outside force to shift the axis. You just can't. It's like you can't stand on the merry-go-round and make it stop or go.
Hmm.
You need an outside force to
Wow.
uh, to uh, to make a difference in the way the Earth rotates, and that's the solar wind. So, but there was a reversal of the Earth's magnetic field 80 million years ago, and this was reported by CBS on January 20th, 2000. 80 million years ago, the Earth's magnetic field reversed itself, and this caused a change in the latitude of Washington D.C. And that means the equator shifted, and that means the poles shifted. The way they described it was that the Earth rolled, but
Mm.
that was not a good description. They should have said the axis has shifted and the equator shifted, and that's why the latitude of Washington D.C. changed.
Mm.
So they're really admitting that the shifting of that the reversing of Earth's magnetic field causes the axis to shift, or can cause the axis to shift,
That's scary.
and as a result of the solar wind, hitting the new magnetic poles.
Mm.
So this happened 80 million years ago. It's getting ready to happen now,
That's
as many experts have said, and some of them say, "Oh, it won't happen for another 2,000 years," or some say 1,500 years. But there are some who say it's going to happen now. Some people, there was Garrett L. Verschuer said he thought it would start maybe in 50 years from his book, which was 1978. 50 years is 2028. And, there was a Scientific American article. They said it could start any time because a new hotspot, a core spot, could bubble up near Indonesia, and that right there would cause the shifting of the magnetic field.
Mm.
So that's what causes the axis shift. The fact that the magnetic field is going to shift. It's been like that. It dies away for 2,000 years, 2,500 years. It it gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and then it reverses so that the poles assume new positions in opposite hemispheres.
Wow.
So that's but what that's what causes it to happen.
Mm. Mm.
So
Mm.
I hope that's not too complicated.
Well, I mean, no, it's not too complicated. I mean, but people can get the book and figure that out too. So I'm going to go ahead and tell people where to go. Go ahead and go to Amazon. And again, we're going to put the link in the description box below so that it'll be easy for you guys to find that so that you can go ahead and check this out for yourself. It's called The Tipping Point for a Hollow Earth, and it is by the author that we're talking to today, Ruth Leedy Carr. I want to thank you, Ruth, for being on the show, man. This has been interesting. I mean, I've been like sitting here going, I'm freaked out right about now because I mean, we live on this earth and for it to be our home and for it to be like, doing what it's doing, it's kind of scary.
Well, uh, I I hope it won't happen anytime soon, but we have to be ready, I guess.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you opening your minds, everybody's mind, to this whole topic. It's great.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much, Ruth. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to again put that link in the description box below so that it'll be easy for you guys to find it wherever you may be watching. It'll be wherever it is. Okay. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. But most of all, don't forget to study. I mean, literally, you got to be ready. I mean, right, Ruth? You got to be ready.
Right.
Got
Better
to
to
be
be
ready.
prepared.
Better to be prepared. All right. All right, Ruth. Thank you. And thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye.